All of a sudden I heard kazoos, and they were playing taps.
This Marquee Dragon video is sponsored by Shattered Crystal, game codes, and items.
Hello, I'm Marcus Eikenberry from MarqueeDragon.com, and I'm at the Login Conference today. Today I got somebody who's a legend. This is Sheri Graner Ray. And the reason I say legend is I'm a big fan of the Ultima series, and I understand you had something to do with it.
Yes, I actually worked at Origin Systems.
That's
where I actually started. And I worked on Ultima 7, Ultima 7 Part 2, and Ultima 8.
I played all of those. You were telling me that...
Please don't tell me you were like 6 when you played them, okay?
No. More like 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, gosh. That was in the early 90s?
Ago. Yeah. Yeah, it was early 90s.
So, yeah, and I think I was... You know, I played my first I think I played Ultima 5 was the first one that I actually played.
Yep.
And I got hooked. I mean, they were little stick figures.
Yep.
And I had a 4-color monitor, so I actually got to see different colors in there. It was really amazing. Yeah.
Actually, I think the Ultimas were kind of the first virtual worlds. Because one of the things that was really important to Richard when we were working on them was that you could go anywhere and do anything. The big joke is you could bake bread.
Oh yeah.
You could go get the grain, you could mill it into flour, you could make the flour, mix it with ingredients, bake bread. Had nothing to do with the game.
Right, and it wasn't necessary.
Right, wasn't necessary, but you could bake bread because Richard really wanted to make sure the world felt like it was a living world. So I really like to think that the Ultimas were kind of the precursors to the MMO worlds that we have today.
Oh yeah, so Ultima Online, you could bake bread. I mean, yeah, you could pay 1 gold coin for your product and then sell it for 2 or whatever. Maybe not even that much, but you know, it was great because it was very free form, very you know, you could just go hang out with other people in Ultima Online.
That's right.
And I could totally, when Ultima Online came out, I could totally see all of the legend and lore and stuff from the previous Ultimas.
Yes. Yeah, and did you ever find Smith the Talking Horse?
No.
Smith the Talking Horse always gave you hints and clues to the previous Ultima.
Oh,
Smith the Talking Horse. He was always there giving you clues to the Ultima before.
That's awesome, I think.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
Yeah, that was some of the things that were in there.
Just the humor.
A lot of love and time and a lot of love and blood, sweat, and tears went in.
I'm actually an Ultima Dragon. And so I'm a member of the Ultima Dragon Internet chapter.
Then I will tell you something that the dragons always ask me and always want to know.
Will you name a dragon after them?
No.
Because I kept asking for that. I could never get a dragon named Marquee.
Nope. Lost Vale did exist.
Lost Vale. I've heard of it, but I don't really know much about it.
The Ultima 8 add-on.
Oh, okay.
It did exist. I was the lead on it. It was completed. We made it up. The night before it was to be sent off to be gold mastered. They pulled the plug on it.
Oh.
It was completed. I don't believe it was archived. I don't believe there's any archived copy of it anywhere. It was done. But yes, the Lost Vale did exist. I was the lead on it.
It's like a death in the family.
And yes, I know. I can tell you this.
Wow.
So the dragons always ask me that. Did Lost Vale actually exist? Yes, it actually did. Yes, it was completed.
That was why I didn't hear about it, because I never played it.
Right.
You know.
You didn't play it, but yeah, it did exist. So it was the add-on because Ultima 8 sales didn't support financially didn't support the idea of an add-on. They scrapped it the night before it was to go to Gold Master.
Oh.
So yes.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the dragons, it usually is.
Yeah. I have seen out there that there's actually some remakes of the different games.
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that? About them, you know, remaking? I can't remember which versions are being remade, but it's independent people doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to the legal aspect. There's a whole legal aspect of who owns the rights and the business aspect of it. But one of the problems we have as an industry in general is the fact that we lose our history. Because I have original copies of Ultima 7 and things like that. I don't have a machine I can play it on. Because the machines are obsolete.
Right. You remember Mo Slow? It was an application that came out so you could play your older games.
Yes, I do, yeah. And I mean, you know, Wing Commander 3 that my husband worked on, you know, Chris Roberts very specifically said, oh, there'll never be a machine too fast to play this. So they didn't put a governor in it.
Well, it's just like Bill Gates saying we'll never need more than 640K.
Yeah, so we cannot play these, so we lose our history. So the fact that these people are recreating these games, to me, it kind of does my heart good for the industry in general, because we get a chance to see where we've been and to try to keep a hold of at least some of our history, and particularly some of these very seminal games that, like I said, I believe the Ultimas are distinctly forerunners to the MMOs today. And we have a chance to keep them and be able to go back and look at them and see where we've come from.
It was very innovative. Yep. You were telling me that you incorporated the religion aspects. What was it you were saying that you incorporated?
Actually, it's Ultima 7 Part 2, the Serpent Isle. The entire religious system underneath there, the chaos plus order equals balance, and the shards and how it breaks down into the different temples. Yeah, that was what I did for that. I designed that.
Yeah, so that really became a big part of things, and it carried over.
Yeah, it usually did. They did. And most of the games, the Ultimas usually had an underlying theme or an underlying set of ideas and beliefs that they wanted to incorporate, that Richard wanted to incorporate into these games. And I was lucky enough that when I came up with that, the team really liked it, Richard really liked it, and we kind of ran with it in the game. So yeah,
that was fun. Yeah. So what was it like to work for? I assume it was Origin.
I worked at Origin. Yep.
Yeah.
I was there before, during, and after the EA buyout. So.
Oh yeah. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Actually, yeah, it was. I kind of consider it kind of the golden age of game development for everybody, not just Origin, but I mean, you can look at, you know, Wizardry and all the others. I mean, think about this. If somebody went to EA or Ubisoft or something today and said, look, I've got this great idea. There's going to be this guy, and he's called the Avatar, and he works for Lord British in Britannia, they would laugh you out of the building.
Oh.
I mean, you wouldn't even be able to get in with an idea like that. And so we were very lucky in that we could do anything we wanted back then. We didn't have to have a license.
So was Origin, did Origin have like venture capitalists that you know, worked at? Yeah, okay.
You know, I was
that's one of the things I talk about nowadays, is that we're slaves to our funders.
We are.
And whatever they want is what they get.
And actually, I think we're almost more than our funding, we're slaves to licenses. You know, if you can't attach a license to a title today, you just don't have a shot at getting it anywhere.
That's really sad, because that stifles a lot of creativity and innovation.
It's like I say, you know, you can't have Lord British and the Avatar. I mean, forget it. Nobody would pick that up today. So we've lost a lot of our ingenuity, creativity, you know, wild and crazy ideas, except for the whole indie game movement. And I really think the indie game movement is probably, you know, the last great hope of creativity and innovation in the game industry. It's absolutely something we really need to support it.
Yes, so because they are very free thinkers, and they're
free to think.
Yes, and a lot of those games don't make it, but some of them do, and it brings a whole new light into what can be done in games.
Well, may not make it financially, but they are made, and I think that's important. That people get to see that this creativity is still there, and they take those ideas from there and look at it and see that there is room to do more in more creative things. You know, when you're tied to a license, you know, you're really kind of shackled. You know, particularly if it's a big license that's got a lot of canon and stuff like that, you're really shackled by it, because it's their license. You know, it's their license. They own it. You owe them the respect. But it kind of constrains you what you can and cannot do with your storylines and your gameplay and things like that. You know, no, you can't put blaster pistols in the Three Musketeers. It just wasn't there. But maybe I've got this great idea that would be really cool. You're tied to the license.
Yeah. So tell me about one of your most amazing moments at Origin.
Oh, at Origin?
Yeah.
Most amazing moment at Origin.
Is that hard? Were they all amazing, or there was none?
No, it was like working in a circus. It was
really.
It was on a day-to-day. Day 4 or day 5, I was there. I'm brand new, you know, new to the game industry, and I have a fishbowl office where I've got a window that looks out into the hallway, but it's an interior office.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sitting at my computer and I'm you know, typing.
I was there. I took a tour of the offices there at Origin.
Which one?
Well, it looked kind of like a castle. Had a bridge going across that you drove under.
That was the 360. That was one building after I had left.
Oh, okay.
I was in one of the original buildings, which is the Wild Basin building, is the one I'm talking about now. And so I was working, and all of a sudden I heard kazoos, and they were playing taps. Why is there kazoos? And pretty soon in front of my window comes this parade of people. First, there's this huge batch of balloons. And these people walking by, and they're all playing kazoos, and they're all playing taps, and I'm like, what are they doing? And of course I have to follow, so I get out and I'm following this parade. And I followed them all the way down the hall and around the corner and out onto the smoking porch. And we crushed all these people on the smoking porch, and the guy gets him on a chair, and he's got a huge bunch of balloons. Tied to the balloons is a G.I. Joe doll. And it was the G.I. Joe that they had rotoscoped for Wing Commander 1.
Oh.
And so they were like setting him free, sending him on to his next mission by tying him to these helium balloons with a note tied to him that said, if you found him, to please report back his new assignment.
Oh my God.
And so we set him free. And we thought, okay, that's a big ceremony. And they set him free. We thought, okay, big deal. About 2 weeks later, we actually got a call from somebody who found him. They actually found him out in the oil fields outside of Houston, which is 300 miles away.
Yeah, that's quite a ways
actually,
away.
150 miles away.
Yeah.
Found him in the oil fields in Houston. They actually sent him back to us, and in exchange, we sent him a copy of Wing Commander.
Oh, that's awesome.
So yeah, so I mean that kind of stuff happened on a daily basis there.
That is awesome.
It was, as I said, kind of the golden days of game design. We could do whatever we wanted. We could. We didn't get paid anything really to speak of. I mean, I think I was making $14,000 a year when I started there. So yeah, not a lot of money in it, but a lot of love, a lot of creativity, and we did a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah. So what is it that? So after all of this, did you have any other good projects, or what did you do after Origin?
After Origin, I went out to Albuquerque, New Mexico, where I worked for American Laser Games, which did stand-up arcades. You may remember Mad Dog McCree, where you pull the quick draw for the cowboy. Yeah, we did that.
I was a big fan of arcades. In fact, my office is full of pinball machines.
Then we did, maybe you remember Gallagher's Galaxy, where you had to shoot the watermelons. Again, quick draw, a lot of gun stuff. There's a space one. We did that, and then they spun off a division called Her Interactive. And I was their head of product development for Her Interactive, and they're still around today, doing the Nancy Drew games, doing extremely well with the Nancy Drew games.
Yeah.
So I did that. Then I came back to Austin, and I wrote Gender Inclusive Game Design and started Women in Games International. And from there, I did a lot of consulting and done a whole bunch of consulting and contracting. Went to Sony Online Entertainment, where I was lead designer on a project that didn't get released, which anybody in the game industry knows. We usually have a bunch of those on our resume.
Sometimes that happens, yes.
Yeah. We did 18 months, 9 full playable milestones before it was shelved, and then was moved on to Star Wars Galaxies. I was the content lead on Star Wars Galaxies.
Had a lot of fun in that game.
Yeah.
I have some good memories of that game. A friend of mine played the heck out of the game, really loved it.
Rebel or Imperial?
And he, I don't know.
What were you, Rebel or Imperial?
Oh, I'm always a good guy. Yeah.
Terrorist and insurrectionist, let me tell you.
But one of the things that's endearing to me about that game is that a friend of mine, he suddenly died in real life. And a big memorial was erected in game for him, and it was like this church hall with him being down at a statue of him down at the end. And it was just awesome. The community how that was.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I was actually working on Star Wars Galaxies during the day, and then coming home at night and playing it. And my guild did not know I was a dev.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't. That's a hard line to.
Yeah, you couldn't.
Yeah.
They didn't know I was a dev until I was outed on the forums, because in the forums they did a Meet the Developer. And they used my name because my game name, and they used my game name, so I became a red name. Remember they called them red names? I became a red name. That's when my guild figured out I was the red name. So that was that. But then they were real cool. We were already friends by the time, so they were cool with the idea. But they were like blown away that they actually knew a dev.
They knew royalty.
Yeah. So but I worked on it. That's how crazy I worked on it during the day. Came home and played it at night. That's how intense and how much I enjoyed the game. So yeah, I had a lot of fun on Star Wars Galaxies.
That's cool. After Star Wars Galaxies, what did you move on to?
I kind of took a break from traditional game development and spent 3 years doing serious games. I worked with the U.S. military and a defense contractor.
Wow.
And a title I did there that I produced called Geo Commander went on to win 2006 2008, I think, 2008 Serious Game of the Year on government category.
Wow.
So that was to teach the principles of signal processing and RF geolocation.
Speaking over my head.
Yeah, I know more about it now than I
I'm sure. I'm sure a lot of vets and military people know exactly what you're saying.
It was a real challenge because signal processing is a very, very, very serious, very dry, scientific principles of physics and all of how radio waves and how signals work. And so I had to design and build a game that taught this and had to make it fun. And I really enjoyed the challenge. It was really fun to take something like that and say, can I actually make this a fun game? And we actually took the game out, and the military is really good about taking out their stuff and really doing a lot of testing with it. And we found that operators who trained with the software had a 22% better retention rate than those operators who trained in a standard PowerPoint classroom kind of condition.
I would call that success.
Man, we were really happy with that. So yes, I did that. So I took a couple years and did some serious games work, and was still doing contract and consulting kind of stuff. I consulted on just all kinds of MMOs. I did some work with King's Isle on Wizards 101. I did quite a bit of work with Fusion Fall, Cartoon Network and Fusion Fall. Several that aren't out yet that I can't mention, but lots of MMOs.
Oh, come on, you can let a little something slip.
I can't, no. That's what NDAs are all about. You tie us up with them.
Yeah, I know.
And then I was letting people know that I was available for consulting work, and Jesse Schell called me, said he was coming down to the Austin Game Conference, and maybe we could get together for dinner and see if there was any kind of synergy that he thought where I could fit in. And our 1 hour dinner turned into 3.5 hours.
Wow.
And we got along extremely well.
That meant you communicated well, yes.
Yeah, we got along very well. And he called me the next day and asked me if I'd be interested in moving to Pittsburgh. And I said, no, I was in Austin. My whole family's in Austin. My husband's quite set in his job in Austin. And Jesse said, okay. And then he called back a couple days later and said, okay, if I put a studio in Austin, will you head the studio? And I said, yes. Wow. So I currently am the design director for Shell Games over both studios, and I'm in the Austin studio. So
that's really cool. That's been a nice progression for you of your career.
It's been fun. The fun thing with Shell Games, and the thing I really enjoy, is that it gives me an opportunity to play in a lot of different arenas. Because Shell Games, we do everything from physical to virtual. We actually work quite closely with the Imagineers, and we do theme park rides for the Disney parks.
Okay.
The Toy Story Midway Mania, which just won a Thea Award, that's our work. And the new one that's just come out in Epcot Center, which is called the Sum of All Thrills, really cool. You go in, you have a Microsoft Touch table, and you build a roller coaster from the touch table, and then you say, yes, I want to go, and then you go through and you get into a pod that's attached to a 30-foot robotic arm, and then you
get to ride your own roller coaster.
You get to ride your own roller coaster.
That's
in
really
Epcot,
cool.
And that's our work as well.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that? Giant robot arms. I mean, come on. It was a lot of fun to do. So we do stuff like that, and then we do everything from there to the virtual of Pixie Hollow and other games like that. And so we do everything in between. We work with a lot of companies with toys that plug in to the computer with the interface. And I find that to be particularly fascinating. I love the concept of moving play from the physical world into the virtual world and back seamlessly. I find that to be where I think a lot of this of toys and interactivity is going when it comes to integrating computers into it, is to make that a seamless progression between actual physical play and virtual play. And so we're doing a lot of work with that as well. So I just have a lot of fun.
That sounds really cool. So do you love your job?
I love my job. I tried to leave, and I can't. I keep coming back.
Well, Sheri, it's been really great. I'm very pleased to have been able to interview you.
Well, thank you very much.
Especially to talk about the Ultima stuff, because Ultima is very dear to my heart.
It was very fun. It's fun to do the work. Glad to talk to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Started out on a Friday night. The sentimental tales you told was just bringing me back to you.